this is I was thinking when I said to you we said we meet at 7. I thought maybe it's going to be dark.
Yeah, it's actually lovely, isn't it?
It's a beautiful light. It's really lovely.
Yeah, it's
now
nice.
we should say to people that we did actually meet earlier on, and I stupidly managed to somehow use my Apple in such a way that it told me I'd made a catastrophic something or other, and our
catastrophic error.
So I'm going to have to, unfortunately, I'll come up with new questions. We'll talk about your sexuality, your drug intake, stuff like that, just to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Just spice it up a bit, yeah.
Actually, there was a great quote. I saw that in the movie itself, in the documentary, that it just sort of said, it's not so much about how long you live, but how you live. I don't know whether that was a quote from Simon.
That's a Simon. That sounds like a Simon one to me. That sounds like my husband.
Which I thought is exactly how all of us should think about it, because you see young children who don't survive or whatever it might be. There's so many times when we think, oh, that was too soon, and too soon is nearly always the case for someone you love. But the idea that it isn't really about the length of life, it's about the quality, that the actual life you led and what you did with that time is kind of
well, I mean, illness has that effect. I think that it puts sort of an urgency on the day-to-day that you don't have. When your time is limited, I suppose time becomes a different thing, and you do have, especially in that creative sense, I think Simon had an urgency about him, and I seem to have picked up on that too. You get the bug to just do what you want to do and just get on with it. So it's kind of a side effect of the shitness. Sorry, excuse my language.
I should just check before we go on now, because I was watching it and definitely Simon's not faking it, right? Because it's not a scammer like that. He looks. I just thought at one moment I saw him walking, but that wasn't. It's
not faking it. He actually sounds and looks really like Colin Farrell as well.
That's what it is, right?
I married Colin Farrell. What are you going to do? It's a hard station.
When you mention, I know I asked you this before, but that idea for me of at any point in your life, seeing your life flash before you. I know it's about 24 frames per second from films and all that kind of stuff. But some of it's got to be hugely joyful, and some of it's got to be very moving. But overall, I would just imagine it's kind of an echo chamber, kind of surreal and kind of
it's a bit like, when you have photographs up all the time and you get used to them. I thought that if I just kept watching the documentary, I would get more used to it and wouldn't find it as much of a punch. But it's like, especially when you live in the moment all the time, to see all the old footage, all the footage of the kids when they're younger and Simon and everything. It's like just gathering up all of that stuff into a ball and just having it fired at you. It's the best way I can describe it. It's intense, yeah. You
made a very strong, macho, emotionalist kind of guy actually kind of cry at one point. It did knock me backwards, because
sucker punch.
And I think what really knocked me the most is that knowing you a little bit and knowing Simon a little bit less, but just sort of being certainly aware of both of your work and all that. It was still just this beautiful, to me now, just a beautiful love story that there's a huge amount goes on around it, and you've got lovely kids, and obviously there's other stories, but that seemed to me that's what got me in the throat, was that's really at the core of this documentary, that this is about how you survive, how you get through things, but really about that idea of having all kinds of love, not just that it's like a romance, but the family
love for what you do as well, I think, and love for making of the film, and that's the thing. It's not all devastating. I mean, it is a joyful thing too. The achievement, what Simon did, making that film. If you don't know much about the filmmaking process, it's a hard slog to make a movie, even if you're able-bodied, and so. I'm just really glad people get the chance to see what he did, and the physical achievement of making that movie was epic, as my boy would say.
Well, that's what got me too now, is that here was a guy who already had sort of shown a huge kind of capacity for film, and he was on such a beautiful streak of his first two films, the short films, the reception they'd had, certainly getting to Sundance and the kind of reception that he got there. You kind of knew he was destined to at least make 10 great films of some shape, form, or whatever. And the idea that he would continue on to do so is just fantastic. And it shouldn't be just about the fact that it's very difficult to make it. It's just about the actual talent as a filmmaker. Not about he could actually draw a picture eventually. It's the picture. It's how he actually has these ideas.
Exactly.
And that he follows through on these wonderful kind of images, and
so much of that film is Simon, and he wrote the script obviously, and it's so much of his philosophies and everything. I love it. It's just concentrated him for me. I love it.
It is great that Colin Farrell narrates, because I was thinking certainly Simon had his Colin Farrell years. He seemed to have a very good time in his teenage years, into the early 20s, And then at a party
with the ladies, is that what you're saying,
he
Paul?
He seemed to have a very good life. You know, he seemed to be very confident,
he's
very
a generous
happy.
man.
Yes, there you go. But what I like about it is that eventually at a party he meets this beautiful girl from RD County Louth, and you know,
who might that be?
Hey, but that idea that you know, it's not just a kind of, oh, there you go, they met and they'll be in love forever and ever. There was that sort of initial reaction from you that you weren't hugely impressed by this loud mouth from Greystones, and it took a few years before there was a real meeting, we'll say, or a real sense of...
Well, yeah, as I say, Simon was always otherwise engaged, you know, so I didn't have an opportunity. He was busy. So, you know, he did that thing where he wooed me in the classic male way of ignoring me.
Hey.
And, didn't respond to my emails, and it hooked me right in that way. So, that's how he did it.
Well, we should talk about the film itself now. Frankie Fenton directed it. He had worked with Simon and on My Name is Emily. When he first sort of put this idea, see, you're an old friend of his, but when he first put that idea, was it an easy kind of sell, or were you reluctant about such a thing? Or
no, well, I think the making of when they got funding for the film, it was always the producers that always known they were going to, or they wanted to make a making of as well, because they just knew that this was sort of a special thing that was happening, an unusual thing.
Right.
Somebody with MND directing a film and just using his eyes and all of that. So that was a given, and then obviously as we got to know them, and because Frankie is an old friend of mine, his sister is my best friend, and he's like my best friend's little brother. It's the best way to describe it. We get on very well, so it didn't feel like work, and there wasn't too much filmed in the actual house, so a lot of the time he was on the film set, and that's where he got most of the abuse, people telling him to go away, get that camera out of my face.
Well, well, we should give a little shout out to the fact that Frankie and then producer Catherine, who worked on Emily as well, they've had their own little love story in just behind the cameras, that they're now proud parents, and
baby Tommy, who's 9 weeks old, and they met and fell in love through crowdfunding for Emily. So it was
boom!
Yeah,
there
it was
you go.
lovely.
That's a happy ending of a huge story.
Yeah.
So this film is on October 14th in the Whale. It's a charity, is, I want to get the name right, the Irish Motor Neuron
The Irish Motor Neuron Disease Association.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
so
what we'll do
really,
is
really good cause.
the tickets are going on sale. What we'll also do is we'll put the link into, you know, people just want to donate if they feel that they can't make the film, or they just want to donate, you know, for the cause itself. And beautifully done. I know that there's lots more to come, because your own wonderful book has been is optioned for a film, and that'll be you have bookends. Now you're going to have film ends. I don't know if that's the right word, but it'll be that sort of that kind of great record of a time. It's like a diary writ large, and in beautiful colours. And I would think for, you know, your kids are quite young, still under 10 or whatever, maybe I don't know what sort of age, but it'll be amazing for them to always sort of, you know, be able to step into that world, you know, that they weren't necessarily there for, and get a real understanding of where they came from. And
exactly, the documentary is really like that. I think that's my main reaction after I saw it for the first time, after I stopped blubbing and crying, was to just say thank you to Frankie for making it, because it's a sum up for my kids of maybe to make sense of their crazy life, and so I'm really grateful that it exists for that, just for that. So I'll be there in the night at the Whale. Simon obviously won't. He would be if he could, but he's in hospital. Wow. So it's a shame he's going to miss it. But I'll be there to, you know, celebrate what he's done.
Any idea who's going to play the beautiful Ruth Fitzmaurice in the movie yet? Is that Jennifer Lawrence, I'm sure, would like to come to Ireland, and she could certainly sort of...
Somebody really weird looking.
Hey!
Hopefully.
Brendan Gleeson's got range. Maybe Brendan Gleeson. He's really got great range.
He could do it. I could see that. Yeah.
Actually, I think he's lined up to play Catherine Nevin. I think that's his next one. So yeah.
Darn, missed that. You got to